An actor playing the same person at the same time. I mean, how does that happen? On Film Threat Reviews. I'm Alan and Zorianna Kit, and today we review The Stand-In starring Drew Barrymore. When ordered to serve a year in rehab, actress Candy hires her on-set stand-in to take her place. The unassuming woman flips the script and steals her identity, career, and boyfriend in this hilarious comedy about trading places. I'm reading what they wrote.
Okay,
it's directed by.
You truly mean hilarious, Alan?
Oh, well, that's what I know. I'm reading it there, and I'm like,
careful.
I can't stop myself. I have to just say what I'm reading here. But it's directed.
At least you're laughing when you're saying the word hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Directed by James Babbitt, stars Drew Barrymore, Michael Zegen, T.J. Miller, Holland Taylor, and Ellie Kemper. What I find interesting is the star of the film is Drew Barrymore. She plays two roles. She plays a well-known actress who's kind of on the waning end of her career, named Candy. And then Drew Barrymore also plays her stand-in, her lookalike stand-in. And as I was researching it, because I didn't want to replay the movie, I found out that this character has no name. And yeah, and I've been looking and researching. It's like the character is credited with no name whatsoever, which I find interesting. This is your basic Prince and the Pauper type movie. Drew Barrymore plays two roles, a lot of split screens. What did you think of The Stand-In?
Okay, so first of all, I think that Drew Barrymore is adorable. And she has not done a movie in 5 years. So it was nice to see her on the screen because ultimately she has a lot of charm and she exudes personality plus. And she's now doing a talk show. So she probably won't have much time to do too many movies or fit them in. So it was lovely to see her on the screen playing not one, but two characters. Now,
I feel a butt coming on.
Now, the premise on paper, it just seems like a hilarious idea. Like it has so much potential. You're like, you could have so much fun with this. And then you look at the cast. There's a bazillion cameos from talk show hosts like Jimmy Fallon and Ryan Seacrest and Kelly Ripa. So there is just a plethora of good people. And Jamie Babbitt directed But I'm a Cheerleader like 20 years ago. And I loved that movie. It was this smart comedy, but none of it just gelled. It just didn't go, like, I wish it had gone darker. The star, the famous actress, she got this coke problem. She has a massive explosion on set. She hurts someone. And then, eventually she has to go to rehab because she didn't pay her taxes. And instead of going to rehab, she hires her stand-in to go to rehab for her. And then all of a sudden the stand-in comes out and is doing the apology tour as Candy Black. And so everyone thinks that the stand-in is the real Candy Black because she's kind of been in hiding for 5 years. So then what happens is kind of like a weird single white female thing where the stand-in takes over the actress's life and, tries to steal her boyfriend and get her career and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't go full-blown single white female like it would have been so awesome if it did.
So, you say that, and I think when I laughed when I read the hilarious comedy part, because if you remove the hilarious comedy out of the description, I actually found it to be a fun movie. It wasn't necessarily funny, but I thought it went in interesting directions. And I will agree in the sense that to me, it did go in a dark direction and dark enough for me to like it. I think you wanted to go even darker.
Yes, I did.
I just felt like a lot of the tropes you find in this story of, basically people switching places and becoming the opposite of the person they were. I thought it went not only in a dark direction, but in a very interesting direction. There's a moment when Candy goes to her old manager, reveals that, her stand-in took over her life. And then the response of that manager, I thought was just at that point was like, oh wow, that's a really brilliant response in the sense of a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah.
But to me, it sounded like you wanted to go even deeper and darker.
Because first of all, Drew Barrymore is former child star. She went through her own rehab at a very young age. So she is someone that, if you look at the worst part of Candy Black in this movie, who just went off the deep end and lost everything, it's something that, like, this is something that Drew Barrymore has that in her toolkit to work with. And the fickleness of this entertainment industry, like how, well, the audience just wants you, your fans just want you to apologize. Just apologize for all the misdeeds that you did, and let's just get on with everything. And so the film could have just really riffed and really made a bigger commentary on not just the entertainment industry and how callous and careless and easily swayed it is, but also on fan culture of when the cancel culture decides to hit and when you get invited back in. And then coupled with just this fan obsession of a stand-in taking over an actress's life, career, everything, it just could have been so much more darker,
I wonder, but I may feel like that we liked and disliked the movie for the same reason, and I think it had to do with both the main characters that Drew Barrymore plays. For one thing, when they first reveal the stand-in, part of me was like, is that Drew Barrymore?
Yeah, me too.
And I actually, in the middle of the movie, I had to go to IMDb just to make sure that was Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that this movie decided to make the stand-in look just slightly off from the real Drew Barrymore and not get lazy about it.
Yeah.
But also what I found interesting about it was both characters were deeply flawed characters. There are moments where you completely despise both of them at different points in the movie.
Yes.
And to me, that was a weird take, but so weird that I liked it. And I think that's what won me over with this movie, is that this is not a traditional identical twin type movie. It goes dark. It doesn't make you overly sympathetic for either character, and somehow at the end you do feel some sympathy in some ways toward them. And it was like, wow, to me this is different, and this is why I like this movie.
Well, there is a subplot here involving like a new relationship, and I just thought, that took up a little bit too much time, whereas the time could have been devoted to something else. That wasn't that interesting. And
to me that was interesting. I mean, the reveal of his character and what he did in his past to me was like, oh wow, this is pretty over the top and pretty far. And they were able to weave that into the relationship.
Well, barely. I mean, again, it was a missed opportunity. Like, he's insta famous off of something on YouTube that's negative, and she's trying to keep a quiet life. And that was never truly like explored in a way that, well, how does their relationship go from there? Just get me back to Drew and Drew. Get me back to that dynamic. That's what I want to see play out.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see happen. Those were the sparks right there.
Well, clearly, what you hated about the movie is what I liked about the movie. I absolutely love the fact that, I think I just stated it before, but I love the fact that this is not the Drew Barrymore of 50 First Dates or Never Been Kissed or The Wedding Singer.
By the way, you mentioned those three movies, which she co-stars with Adam Sandler in, and the fame that Candy Black has in this movie is playing like a female version of an Adam Sandler type comedian who just, pratfalls and does silly voices and
has that catchphrase.
Yes, hit me where it hurts.
All right. So clearly you didn't like this movie. No.
You didn't? I enjoyed watching Drew Barrymore and Drew Barrymore. That was, and I wanted more of that, but I wanted it to just do more. It was disappointing because the movie was filled with so much potential and promise, and I felt like it didn't go for it like it should have.
So I guess the better way to say is lost potential then.
Yeah.
There's a potential to be great and it wasn't. And
yeah, exactly.
And based on that, I'm going to guess you gave it a 6 then?
Yeah. Well, you liked it. We already know that. So you gave it an 8?
I gave it 7.5.
Okay.
There's, as weird as it was, I think I liked it mostly because it didn't go in typical directions. And I think that's pretty clear from the way I described it. I see what you see in the film, and to some degree I agree with it. But to me, there's a freshness in there, a weird and odd and not so positive freshness that I like.
I don't know how fresh it was. I think it tried to be fresh, but not. It wasn't. It didn't. If you're gonna go for it, you have to go for it.
By fresh, I mean the story would go in a typical direction and it goes in a different direction. To me, that's fresh, is to say, let's not go where you think it's going to go, and let's throw a swerve here. Well, with that, be sure to like, subscribe, comment below on what you thought of The Stand-In. And with that, let's get out of here.